I want you to know that when I started learning yeshiva, it was a really miserable yeshiva in a really miserable part of the world. It was totally the wrong yeshiva for me. But I, for some reason, stayed. I don't know why. And I remember, as a classic moment for me in chinuch, that we learned Gemara all day, and I didn't understand why we're learning Gemara and what it was about, and the teachers were just, ugh. And I started to get really depressed in being there. And at night I would go back to my room and I would sit there and I'd turn on the lamp, and I had an old Tanya that I brought with it, and open it up and I'd start reading it, at 9:30 at night, and I would blow out of my body. No idea what was happening. Nobody taught me this stuff, what we're learning together. And I wouldn't go back to sleep. I'd just fly to like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. And then I'd kind of crawl into bed exhausted, and I'd miss chakras. I wouldn't get up to pray. And then I was tired, and then Gemara and the Rebbes that were teaching was so emotionally disconnected and so unhealthy, and I have 1,000 miserable stories to tell you, which I'll save you from. And then at night I'd drag myself back to my room and open up Tanya and blow out of my body, and just like Hasagas and understanding life, universe, and everything zipping up and feeling holiness. But I didn't know what this holiness was. It was just like, wow. So after a few weeks, they called me in very angry. The main Rosh Hashiva was like, you're not coming to Shachris, you come all the way, and you don't take halacha seriously, and you don't take prayer seriously, you're not taking ruchnias seriously, and you have to be there. I expect you to be here for the blessings and to be here and to be the thing. And there was one rabbi that I loved, and he was my rabbi. He was there just to help me, I think, just myself. And he took me aside and he said, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. I'm not the main rabbi here, so you have to follow the main rabbi. But just between you and me, he says, forget Shachris, dump it, and stay up all night learning Chassidus. He says, and if you don't come to my class in the morning, that's totally fine with me as well. He said, but don't tell anyone I told you that. Now, what kind of ultra-Orthodox rabbi can tell the student, don't get up for Shachris? But he's 100% right and 100% brilliant. Because when you fly and when you connect and when you find that thing that speaks to you and makes sense, and then you build that Kedusha. And of course, when you're learning about Tanya, you start learning about Torah and what is the power of Torah. And then I wanted to learn the Gemara more, because he talked about what is halacha and what is Gemara. And then he talks about tefillah. And then you understand what it means to daven in a minyan. And then I want myself, not because it's externally imposed upon me, it's because I'm starting to understand the depth and the beauty, and I'm feeling the connection. And then suddenly I'm the guy that's up for Shachris half an hour before anyone. I'm in there and I'm connecting to it. Because of course he wasn't saying don't follow the halacha, but he was saying you're allowed to build your connection to it and appreciate and understand it first. Oh, but what about Nasiv v'Nishma? So Nasiv v'Nishma was about a bunch of Jews who just seen 10 supernatural miracles to get them out of Egypt, who just walked through the desert surrounded by light, that had Moshe Rabbeinu bringing them the word of Hashem and supernatural miracles constantly. And then they had Nasiv v'Nishma. First you'll do it, and then you'll understand it. But for us in this world, we're allowed our connection. We're allowed to appreciate the sweetness, v'harev na. And when you get the sweetness, and you taste the higher meaning, and you get the beauty, then a healthy, normal person, now some people fly and they don't have any vessels. So I understand not everyone that takes that, but when you're dealing with healthy, normal people, it's okay to build your relationship, to find that sweetness, to feel that blend and that unity. And then you desire to build the vessels from that. Do some people learn Chassidus and never come down? Yeah, there's unhealthy people in the world for sure. But that doesn't mean that we have to cut the rest of us off from that opportunity and that gift. So where someone tried to dogmatically enforce it all on me and just demand based on fear, I was blessed to have one sweet, beautiful rabbi whisper in my ear something heretical. And it really was, take your time and build that relationship. And if you can fly, fly. And then slowly you realize what we're doing here, and you want to come and build the temple on the ground. And that's the truth. That's really, really happened. And when I started to learn Gemara, then I started to know the depth of it, and then it really mattered. So that's what I'm saying to Hila, and that's what I'm saying to all of you with elevation, which is, find your bliss within Torah and find the sweet points. And when you do that, I've been in rooms when I taught at Neve, when we talked about sneers, modest dressing for women. So, there's women in the room who came for Beis Yaakov who would cry and be in trauma, being told they had to cover up. And there was non-religious girls who would swoon and say, that's the most beautiful, empowering thing I've ever heard. And they were both talking about the same thing and the same experience. but one of them was sure that it was just the most devastation of woman, and we should be, liberated and free to wear whatever we want, use the sex however we want. And then these other women coming in from, across America, be completely quote unquote liberated, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's devastated me. I love the idea of having my beauty on the inside and not having my body always defined and not having to always present myself like a supermodel. I love that idea of that the inner it defines, and whatever that means. So some people say, yeah, but the religious girls know what it's truly like. No, not necessarily, because they've learned the most external dogmatic version of that. Torah can be your bliss, or Torah can be a burden on your shoulders. It can be an elixir of life or elixir of death. The difference is the kavana and the midas. It's the set and the setting. It's opening yourself up to something deeper, understanding and learning it first. It's exploring in a way that works for you, right? It's understanding that there's so many beautiful ways in. And I believe, v'chol nesivasei shalom, dachei adachei noam. The paths of the Torah are paths of beauty and sweetness, and all its paths are of peace. So why aren't we getting that? Because we're not following the paths of Torah. We're following our distorted ego perception of it. So here we're just remembering what was that gift supposed to be, and what does the Torah define its gift to be, right? And therefore that gives us an opportunity to forge our own path to the real, beautiful, expansive, holistic, psychedelic version of it in a whole new way.